In Mark Rechler's world, genres aren't walls to feel confined by, they're tools to fuse and bend to your liking. For decades, the funk rock band frontman has amazed critics and audiences with his incredible group Circus Mind. Since the early aughts, they've dropped several albums pushing the boundaries of funk music and reimagining its relationship with jazz and rock. Listening to Circus Mind's music is a whimsical, otherworldly experience that's hard to find a comparison to and even harder to forget. Our conversation is a timely one for the group, who has recently been dropping monthly singles, each with incredible and captivating artwork. We talk about the strategy behind dropping these singles this way, Mark's early music inspirations, his thoughts about Circus Mind's discography, performing live, artificial intelligence, and what he looks forward to for the rest of 2026. Mark was a phenomenal guest. I think you guys are going to love him. His music is great and he has an even better personality. You're going to learn a lot from this conversation. Enjoy. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the If Ever You're Listening podcast. I'm your host, Stanley C. And today we have the genre fusion mastermind, the founder and band leader of Circus Mind, Mark Rechler, with me today. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining the If Ever You're Listening podcast. Thank you
Yeah,
for being here.
Stanley, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Lots we could talk about, and appreciate that you just, getting together with me. It's pretty cool.
It's an honor on my part. There's a lot of music, there's a lot of albums, there's a lot of band members to talk through. Circus Mind is a lot of things I've seen and heard in the music, but ultimately it sounds like it's like a funk rock band. But before we get into kind of the band and how you got into it, I want to hear about what was your relationship with music growing up? Kind of
Yeah,
what are some of your first memories with it?
music DNA. That's what I always say when I talk to music friends. Like, what was like the first music you remembered, and like, because it really shaped us, right? And we heard in the car when our parents were driving us to school or wherever, and I was fortunate to have two older brothers that were hand feeding me my first music, and the Beatles were at the root, and some Simon and Garfunkel and Elton John, and that was like that was like my pre into elementary school, and the Beatles and Elton John stayed with me for sure, and my folks were listening to music, but they were listening to a lot of Broadway show tunes and Sinatra, things like that, kind of sort of the classic stuff from their era, and some jazz so then elementary school, I started listening to more hippie rock. I got into the Grateful Dead. Again, I had older brothers handing me stuff, and Allman Brothers, and Steely Dan, and Little Feat. And I got also into David Bowie pretty heavily. He was a big influence on a lot of my writing. Um, and then, junior high, brought some more rock and roll, and I'd say things like The Who and the Stones, and expanded that way. It was kind of in high school that I think my older brother, Glenn, went to college, and I kind of took over his amazing record collection. And he was listening to everything, world music and avant-garde and jazz. And I think I realized there was a lot more out there than at that point I had, I was maturing into a much more open musical listener. And so got into that. And this was also the late 80s. So there was, new wave and punk, and I liked that a lot. And so I had a pretty open ear. I'm like, I just love music, and vinyl was that was the good old days of listening to the whole album and reading the liner notes, and it was like so special. You like lived with those albums, and you turned it over and you do listen to the other side, and we've lost that a little bit sadly. And I hear it's coming back. I hope it really does come back because that would be a real gain for everyone. But that was kind of my and then the story doesn't really end there because after college I went to school for architecture. I'm an architect, by the way,
Yep.
and at Tulane in New Orleans. And New Orleans is, funky, funky place. And I didn't even know what I was getting into, really. I went there because I wasn't allowed to go to school in California. That was the only rule. And it seemed like a cool place. I visited, I'm like, this place looks cool. But then, Dr. John and the Neville Brothers and the meters and the radios. So I really, that's kind of really when the funk started to seep in, and that then I explored, P-Funk and James Brown, and all the whole world of funk really opened up to me in New Orleans and New Orleans brass bands and songwriters like Alan Toussaint. I got really influenced by. So that was my initial like DNA of music growing up.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love it. Okay, so we have a lot of places to go from here, a lot of pieces of your DNA.
yeah.
At what point in your musical journey do you realize, oh, I want to make my own music, like, and I want to perform this stuff?
Yeah, well, I was not a prodigy or anything. I like struggled as a little kid, learning classical, and it wasn't until a friend came over in junior high and started playing some Beatles and Ellen on my piano, and I was just like, like, and I realized there were other choices. I was struggling, learning classical. Once I got his teacher, this guy was great. He, showed me how to play chords and what do you want to learn? What song do you like?
Mm,
That really turns the light switch on for a kid to really learn a song that way. And then he was the same teacher also said, let's write a song. I was like, oh, and give me a chord. I can't remember how we did it, but it was simple and basic. And I thought at the time that it was okay. I almost kind of remember it. And so it kind of just started like that. And I guess I followed through. I had a high school band. We were pretty good at the time and wrote three or four songs for that band. It was mostly covers we were doing, but we had a couple of good songs. Went out to college, had another band that was doing covers and did some more originals. So I always just kind of getting them in there. And then post college, I played in a few bands. One was kind of like a world sort of maybe P.D. Gabriel Talking Heads, but Brazilian vibe version. It was very cool, called The Hunt. Played in another funk band called Big Fat out on Long Island, where I'm based. And then it was time to start my own band,
mm.
Circus Mind. We kind of started roughly in 98, but we didn't get our name or maybe even play a show till probably like 2000, two or three. Um, and I don't even know, is that right? I mean, if you're right now, we
Yeah.
probably played shows before that, but we had a few different names. And at one point, I was in my family business doing development work and doing architecture there. And the kind of the millennium hit, and I was like, it felt like a big moment for me. I wanted to move on. I wanted to focus on music. I had been building a studio here in my home. You could kind of see
Love that.
a lot of messy, fun stuff here. And we then like got to recording our first album here. And actually, a cool thing happened at the same time. I had a friend working at Discovery Networks, Animal Planet, TLC, they all those stations. And he was like, "You want to do some music for us? Like, they need something by Monday." This was Friday. I'm like, "What do they need?" And so for like 5, 6 years, we were doing a bunch of stuff for Discovery. Just again, it was always last minute. We need something that sounds like Coldplay for theme music for this show here. And so the band was good, and we were like working a lot doing that and recording our album at the same time. So that's kind of when the band came together in this situation.
That is so fascinating. Okay, so I have the albums you guys released. The first album, I have it for 2002, and
There you go, 2002.
and it's your debut. It's self-titled or band-titled
Mhm.
Circus Mind.
Yeah.
Great album. I've listened to all of the projects.
Yeah.
Um, and kind of what was the discussion at the time? So it sounds like this was the words I keep seeing, and I even felt when I was listening to it was ambitious. It's a very ambitious sounding album.
Certainly was
Um,
ambitious.
how did it feel making it, and where did you find the members for Circus
That,
Mind?
well, that's the first story was I was looking to put a band together, and my wife was working out with another workout queen here in Long Island back in the day, and they got to talking, and this is a kind of fascinating story. She just got off the circus, this girl she met. She was riding the elephant. She was with Ringling Brothers. And
Oh,
there she had met her husband. And he is a drummer in the circus band. Ringling Brothers, touring the world. His name is George Hooks. Still close with him to this day. Not currently my drummer. But the name Circus Mind came from that. And George is a fascinating, amazing player. Really brilliant, nuts. And so they put us together. And that kind of got us going with the circus mind, the circus mentality. A couple of jams, brought in an old friend of mine, Dave Berg, who was the original guitarist. Right now we're on, I'd say, our third lineup. The only original member from that is the percussionist, Steve Finkelstein. But what's interesting about that first album is ambitious is a great way to say it, is we were like, let's get this person, let's get that person. So we like reached out to whoever we thought we could get, or we knew someone had played with. First, New Orleans guys, Cyril Neville of the Neville Brothers. He's just my
Yeah.
favorite soul singer down there to this day. He's unbelievable. We went down there, and so we went down there. We recorded some backing vocals of some great people down there, and we did Rebirth Brass Band. We put on a bunch of our tracks. And then we flew Leo Nocentelli, the meters, the guitar player, up here. I had heard he had played with a friend of mine, a musician, Jason Crosby at the time. So I got his number through Jason. And a cool thing happened from that is that Leo and I really hit it off.
Mm.
I mean, my playing ability isn't anywhere near Leo's and a lot of these guys, but uh, he liked me and he kind of took me under his wing. He called me up for tours. I started doing a few small tours with him, having a good time. He'd stay over here. He's a great guy, great character, and we're also still friends. So that was kind of cool. That happened with a few of the people that played on the record. We built sort of lifelong friendships, which I hadn't, was not expecting, was not the intent. Um, and then some young cats. I don't know if you know the guys from So Live, Eric Krasno, and Neil Evans. They came in for a couple of tracks. They were amazing. They came here. They were living in Brooklyn at the time, and so we mixed it up. We were ambitious in that way. We brought a lot of people. Earl Chinna Smith from Bob Marley's, second phase after the Wailers. We had heard someone else was playing with him. He was here in the studio. He was so good. We had some tracks that, bordered, reggae vibe. And how are you going to make it more authentic than that? You're not.
You're not.
So that was the first record. Looking back on the record, I'd like to remix it. I'm thinking about doing that as a project.
Okay.
We did it all ourselves pretty much. And so it's busy, I think. And if I remix that thing, I'm sure it will be like, really good. I'm much more mature musician now to do that. So that was the first record. And then the second one, what was the second one? Silver Flower?
Silver Flower 2006.
Silver Flower. So we were playing more shows and getting out there and still gelling, I think, as a band with song ideas and things. And Silver Flower was, I think, a better product, cleaner. And again, it came down to the mixing and mastering and not doing it ourselves. We brought in Chris Vasulo, who's done all my records since. And he's an engineer producer who lives near me here. He's in the town of Oyster Bay, Long Island. And he's just, we work so well together. He's got great ears. He's super fast, which is great for an engineer. He communicates well with me, understands like what I'm looking for, even though we might not even share a lot of the same musical tastes. I could be like, I'm kind of looking for this kind of vibe, and then boom. So we've stuck together for these last records and singles, and because we have a good thing going on, and so he's kind of in a way a member of the band because he's really created the sound a lot too. I have to give him some props there.
No, that's
Uh,
a great shout out.
yeah, so we didn't do any special guests on that record. We kept it tight. And then we had it. We kind of went a while without recording for a while. There was a gap there. Not really sure why. We were out playing bars and clubs and a couple of small tours. And I think what happened really was the pandemic hit.
Ah, dude.
And I felt like, I mean, it's a weird thing to say because, the pandemic was horrible for so many people.
Yeah.
For me, it was like a gift of time.
Mm.
My kids who were grown up or living out came back into the house. We got a puppy, and I made a record, Joy Machine, which I think we might be, our best record possibly. I mean, it really came together, and oddly, I did bring special guests for that because no one was touring. Everyone needed work and wanted work, and it was quite easy and lovely, and people were so happy to be like, can you, play a solo on my record or whatever? And they were like, yeah, send it to me. A lot of it was remote. Not all of it was. Some of it was masked and stuff. And so that record also, we got Ivan Neville from the Neville Brothers. We got Big Sam in New Orleans. We got Nels Klein from Wilco, the guitar player, played on a couple of tracks. Mark Ribot, who played with Tom Waits and Elvis Costello, is just a genius, you know. So it was kind of a cool time, and it's just it was energy and making records. The sad thing that happened during that was I had a falling out with my longtime guitarist and music partner, Dave Berg. Um, just things happen in bands, you know, bands you're like brothers, family, things get weird, things have people have different needs. Um, so then that led to the next evolution of the band, which is kind of where we are now. We did an EP, um, and then now we've been doing a thing where we're just releasing a single a month.
Hmm.
Or every 5, 6 weeks. And I just kind of feel it's probably a reflection of myself, but like attention spans are not what they used to be. We're all flipping, you know, you get like 30 seconds if you're lucky, kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I was just kind of like, let's just focus on singles and promote these singles. And, you know, our artwork is kind of integral to our design and stuff and keeping to a theme. And it's been really good. It's been challenging. It's costly, you know, you're always promoting, you're paying a PR, you're paying the artist, different stuff. But it keeps a cool flow, which I think is good in this day and age, weird day and age we're living in. So, so that's kind of where we're at. We just dropped our ninth single.
Yep.
Um, we've been getting great reviews and people are loving them. And I have one more in this batch. And then
Ooh.
I think I'm just going to take maybe a break for the summer and
Hmm.
kick back in the fall. Maybe I'll package these 10 songs into an album, call it an album, and, you know, and to give it the final stamp of, um, and it's good, you know. It's a struggle, the music business, you know. I ain't gonna puff myself up and say we're doing amazing, you know. We're not making money. Thank God I have a day job.
Yeah.
Uh, we're building followers though, and that's good. And we're getting out there. Gigs are good. Playing a couple of festivals. I got the Great South Bay Music Festival this summer, and we got a couple good openers. I don't know if you know the band Galactic out of New Orleans. We're opening for them at the Brooklyn Ball here.
Nice.
You should come around for that.
I'm down.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
down.
And so they got some good shows and regular bar gigs. I got a bar gig tonight, you know, not too far from where I am, and we're still doing that thing.
I'm curious about, thank you for that, Mark. For the artistic direction, because there is a theme and a stylistic theme, I should say, for all of your artistic covers for the singles, but it also seems to connect even to the previous out of this era. Where did that idea come from of making these kind of like psychedelic, colorful covers?
Probably, you know, the bands I was influenced by and the album art that I always thought was the coolest, you know, and from that era, early 70s, King
Yeah.
Crimson and Genesis and you know, some of those Grateful Dead psychedelic artists, you know, I really always loved that art. I still do. Um, so I was always sort of chasing that imagery of, you know, of fun and color and tie it into the music kind of thing, you know.
That makes so much sense. And I think one thing that I noticed about the songs themselves is that they sound fun. They sound bright. They sound, you said you're going to pause in the summer, but I actually would tell the listener, listen to these songs in the summer because they're almost like summery, but not
Certainly
all
have
the
great
lyrics are
summer
fun. They're,
songs.
you kind of talk on serious topics like on Whole Lot of Nothing, which is one of my favorites out of the batch you dropped, but Follow Me Home, I was listening to that a lot this morning.
It's a summer song for sure.
Where are you getting inspiration from nowadays to when you make music and songwrite?
So it's an interesting process. It's never always the same, but often I'm walking or thinking and humming a melody or some chord things, and then I questioning in my head like, what song is that? Am I singing? You know, what is that? And you know, thank goodness for the phone and the message app. I have, you know, 2000s. singing in right away. And then when I get home, or if I am home, I'll get to a piano. I'm like, what chords are those? And I'm still not sure. It sounds familiar, which is kind of a good thing, right? It's reminding me of something, but it's not that thing. I might ask my wife. I'm like, Jack, does it remind you of anything? No. And then I'm off to the races. I have some chords. I have a part. It usually takes me. It depends. The good ones will take an hour.
Mm.
That's when you know you're just like inspiration hits. Psh. I once heard Neil Young at South by Southwest. He was the keynote speaker, and he once said something that really struck me. He's like, "When lightning strikes, cancel everything. You don't go into dinner, not going to pick up the kids. The wife has to do that. It's like you have to like stay focused on that thing because that's your moment. So
Mm.
I've always tried to heed that after I heard that because it made sense to me, and it's true because I have pieces that never quite kind of got finished. I didn't know I had really good parts, but I was never to put the thing. So when I can, but sometimes that's an hour, like I was saying, and sometimes it's a week. It's usually
Mm.
never much longer than that. But it's a cool, weird process. I have it in my head, blah, 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 and I'm out and I'm like, I got the next part. Like it just hit me. I love it. I love when it takes over me like that. The muses. I get possessed.
Mm.
Yeah.
Speaking of possession, one thing I really admire about you, the band, and I recommend anybody if you have the chance of seeing them live. I still need to see you guys live, but luckily I live near you, so I could kind of have the benefit. Is the live performance? I've watched dozens of videos. It's jamming. You guys, no performance is the like, even if you're performing the same songs. From your perspective, how do you feel success when you're performing? What does success look like for you? And how has your performance maybe changed over time?
Yeah. Success is always an interesting question, right? Well, we're definitely, we touch upon sort of the jam band thing. We could stretch stuff out and we like to play, I get offered gigs in New York City that are like, 45 minutes. I'm like, I don't know, that's a little short for us. We're like in our gear. We want to like let loose and, do our thing. So, we like to play two sets, like the old school rock and roll way. Success, of course, crowd size is always great, but that's never guaranteed. It could be some playoff game that night, and like be all some, you got competition or some other stuff. Um, I always measure success of how much fun I had with a band that night. It's usually pretty good. I always surround myself with like guys that are way better than me. It's like tennis or anything else. You get out there with people who are better than you. Your game just goes up. You know it, you feel it. We're a six-piece band. They're all so talented. These guys, I'm so lucky to be playing with them. They do all play in different projects. Scheduling is difficult sometimes. Rehearsals and gigs, it gets complicated because the talented guys are busy. Everyone, some of them do it for a living. They make money, or even if they don't, they want to be playing. So it's hard to say, and success musically, it's just I have to say, sometimes I could be a little self-deprecating on my musicianship, which I shouldn't be because I'm plenty good. I'm fine. I'll make you sound great. I'll back you up. We'll impress people. I'll fool them again. But I find I could say that I'm a strong songwriter. Like I feel success when I complete it, and when we make these and we produce them, and we get that master back. I'm like, that's success. We did it. Where that's gonna go, and I can't, guarantee. And look, like you said, you really liked Whole Lot of Nothing. I did too. It's great, soulful, kind of cool, old school grooving thing. But it's funny, people pick up on different things. People I know, they're like, oh, everyone says the same thing. It's a little bit of a change of direction for you. It's all got the funk soul under your underbelly, but different people seem to tap into different things, which I like. So Circus Mind, like a three-ring circus, the circus, you got jugglers, you got clowns, you got animals, you got the fat lady. We could kind of do it all, but it's all under the big tent of Circus Mind.
That's so cool. And like we're saying, listen to these new singles if you're listening to this podcast and pick your favorite. There's a lot of variety. They're all very musical. You're such a musical band that you're even in one song, we probably, if there was five of us here, we'd all pick something different that we love out of the song, which I really, really appreciate. You do.
Thank you.
When you perform, you've toured around. You've done a lot of touring over the years. And one of my questions between Silverflower and Joy Machine was going to be about how did the live performance change, but I kind of want to change that question now and ask, where do you find the most fulfillment playing? Kind of what part, maybe parts of the country or maybe types of crowds you enjoy?
Yeah, so we're mostly typically these days tri-state area. So, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York. We've gone down to Jazz Fest a couple of times in New Orleans, played that. We've done tours out west in like Colorado and random shows, but mostly we're around here. And it's good. I find like-minded people, people who are music lovers. Like that's the thing. I'm a music lover at heart. Like I go to see music a lot, and
Mhm.
I go to festivals and all kinds of music. So I think like there's something special out there with people who do that. A lot of my friends are people that I've met in New York just going out to shows. There's a list here called the Freaks List, and it's music freaks that just go out to everything, and it's hilarious. It's a Yahoo Groups thing where people are talking about what they're seeing this weekend or what they saw last weekend, reviewing stuff. And these are the crazy people like I associate myself with. I'm lucky that I make music too. So I like to, tap into music lovers, people who just really appreciate music and live performance and, good songs.
Mm.
And, that's kind of how it's been going for us so far.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I consider me an honorary member
Right.
of the Music
Oh,
Freaks
welcome to the
for
circus freaks.
yeah, yes, exactly. For for the rest of the year, for 2026, you said you want to take a break. You're gonna release these one more song. What are you looking forward to for the rest of this year? Or what should
Well,
fans look forward to?
that's a good question. So when I say I'm taking a break, not playing out live, but
Mhm.
I think I need to take a break from the promotion aspect.
Got it.
I find I'm putting so much time and energy into that that I'd rather be doing a lot of other things. It's not my, I don't know, I don't know. I don't love it. It's a lot. It takes a lot. I want to be a musician. I want to make music. My happy place is in the studio. So
Mhm.
we've have tracks in all different levels that we're constantly working on. So I'm not taking a break from that. I'm going to just be working on my tracks and playing out some. I just turned 60, and so I have to do some traveling. I got to get some things done, while I'm feeling good. Uh, so I want to maybe get to New Zealand this year. I want to do some traveling. We're talking about some other cool spots, maybe Vietnam. And we were just in Jamaica for a 60th birthday party with a great group of people, 40 people, and I went down to Jamaica to
Wow.
celebrate. Uh, so what that's what I might be doing. So between traveling and making music and working a little architecture development when I have to pay the bills.
You're living. That's what I
Yeah, you
love to hear.
gotta live.
It-
Time is a ticking.
Time is ticking. It doesn't stop for any of us, but that's beautiful. I love to hear that. And I resonate with the part about needing to create more art and doing less of the promotion of the art. Because if you just let yourself focus on that part, that could take up your whole day for
Yeah.
weeks.
And it's weird, there's so many influencers out there and everyone's vying for your time. It's
Yeah.
like I could do a little bit of it. I do my best, and but it's a little much after a while. It's a break. And and when I'm traveling, I'm writing too. I can't tell you this little mini keyboard right here.
Ooh, beautiful.
I've written so many songs on this little thing right here. Yamaha Reface. I recommend it for any keyboard players. You need a
Yeah,
little thing to travel around. Fits in your suitcase and sounds amazing.
love that.
So yeah, even and that gives you more energy, inspiration, and there's no shortage of that.
That's amazing. For my mark specific questions, I have concluded my mark specific questions, but we're not done yet. Now we are entering the if ever you're listening questions, which I ask all my guests because you're on this podcast. So it's more about like what you're listening to and also just like fun music trend questions.
Yeah.
The first one is about things that people may not know or understand about musicians. So what do you think is maybe like one of the most underrated or underappreciated elements of being a musician that non-musicians or just fans don't know or don't understand?
I guess it's kind of that feeling I was mentioning, like about being possessed when you have like a song coming, and it's like
Mm.
I don't want to listen to music that week. Like there's nothing else. The TV's off. I have these kind of clocks in my head. And it's funny, my wife Jackie, she knows to like give me space because she knows I'm like working through stuff. It's just like an amazing kind of gift I think we get that to like see something come to fruition, you know? I mean, in some ways, I wish it was like I was a painter, you know? Maybe it wouldn't be faster. Maybe it's the same process. You're really, your creative mind is your creative mind. But I think that's kind of one of the lucky things that I get to work through that process.
This was not one of my original questions, but that prompted a new question about your other side of your brain, which is the architectural side. Does it also experience the same process of like inspiration and you need to get it done within a 7 day period window, or do you operate in a whole different
I
way
would
for that?
say yes.
Oh.
Um, Maybe not so much now from how I work in my office and my crew, because I don't have to do it that way as much. But like originally and in the process of architecture, yes, that first, I always say it's the best part of architecture is the first 10%.
Mm.
You are coming up, and this is also the bad part about architecture. You're coming up with this great design, these cool ideas, and this fantastical thing. And the other 90% is, whether it's a client or your boss, whoever, it's like, can't afford that, can't do this. And then the engineer is like, that's not going to work. We can't do that. So it's kind of it's sad in a way, because it's kind of seeing your concept and design kind of wither away. And hopefully what's left of it still has the soul of that. But what I'm doing now is that we do redevelopment of brownstone buildings in Brooklyn. So we go in there and we're our own client, which is nice.
Very good.
We just make them badass, modern, beautiful, and we're a little small team of us. And it's good. So no one's telling us, we can't do that, or maybe amongst ourselves, maybe it's getting a little too crazy here because you still want it to sell. You want to keep it within general people's taste who want to go this way. So yeah, I think there's a similar, but it's a sad art in that way that you have to chop it down like that.
That sounds very, very sad. It's almost like when like artists become really popular and then they have to get it checked by their manager and their
Right,
label and
record
the
label.
second.
Nope, this isn't it. Sorry,
Yeah, and that leads to a lot of problems. Interesting. Okay. My next question is about what you're listening to. I want to know what is on Mark's playlist these days. What has been in your ears for 2026?
Yeah, that list is long. Can I take out
Mhm.
my phone? I've actually been listening to a lot of stuff. Oh my God, I'm on the spot. I should have prepared for this question.
No worries.
Um, I find going back to, let's talk about the ones I'm going back to.
Hmm.
Uh, the band My Morning Jacket a lot.
Love them.
I go back to them a lot. I go back to Wilco a lot, and Wilco is always putting out something. They're really good that way, and it's always good in quality. I like the young jam band Goose.
Yeah, love Goose.
Love the alternative jam band Geese.
Yes.
You've seen them live now a couple of times, and they've really grown from when I first
Yeah.
saw them in the last 2 years. They're just like,
SNL now. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Huge.
Um, what else is turning me on? I'm always into I do both. I'm into music exploration. So I'm listening to stuff that I'm probably not looking to love it. I just want to hear it, It's some new pop record. I'm like, I want to hear what that sounds like, what the production sounds like. Um, I also like to go back and, listen to old records and, old jazz records, Miles, Coltrane, and old rock records. I mean, the Frank Zappa's catalog is so deep, and there's so much. So it's kind of a whirlwind. So songs, the playlist is the easiest way to go. Find let it go. So I'm kind of all over the map. I should have prepped for the question a little bit more, but I'm a really open-minded kind of musician that likes to hear a lot and explore.
It's reflective of your music and reflective of you as a musician. So I think it's actually very on on brand for you.
Right.
Not on brand as like a marketing term, but on brand as
Yeah.
like it's personal to you.
Yeah.
And
Right
even
on.
though you didn't prep that answer, nobody's going to give me that answer. It's very specific to you. So it sounds vague for you, but that was very specific for me and hopefully the listener, if you're
And
not
even
familiar.
like going to music festivals, which I like to do. Like my favorite thing is finding artists that I haven't heard before, and getting turned on, it's an amazing thing. And it's hard to do, you don't always want to buy a ticket of a band in New York City. The tickets are expensive and you may or may not like it, but a festival is a great opportunity to like see who's happening and like, and what they're doing.
Love, love, love a good festival. And the depending on how the festival is kind of listed, sometimes you got to look for the names that are in the smallest
Yes.
print.
Yeah, you
But
did.
like go to those people's shows, go to their sets
That's
when the festival's happening. My next question is about it's become a newer question I've added because of just how everywhere it is, how pervasive it's become in the culture of music and the industry is about artificial intelligence. I want to hear your opinions about do you see it as a tool, as competition, as a non-necessary kind of piece that's not really that important? Kind of what is your take on it?
I gotta say, I'm kind of freaking out about it. It's blowing my mind
Yeah.
and it's scaring me on the non-musical level as well as the music level.
Yep.
Uh, I've been using it only for artwork now,
Yep.
and it's great. It's great at everything. That's the scary part, right? It's so great and so fast and so amazing. I feel like I'm having an internal debate, like about using it at all musically. Like I feel like some of my heroes, like Brian Eno and Peter Gabriel, always embrace technology. Like when the drum machine first came out, I was like, "What? A drum machine? We got drummers. I don't want a drum machine." I was one of those people, and eventually we incorporated it. However, or we accepted it. Pro Tools or Melodyne vocal tuning, we're like, "Oh, that's cheating," right? I haven't gotten over this AI hump because it's just so fast and so everything. I forget what that program is, that Sono. I did put in and I wrote just to test it to give you three free songs. I wrote a song about my friend, my dog, in prog rock style, blah, blah, blah. And it was blown away good. It scared me. I was like, no, bad, go away. So I am very nervous and scared. I see what it's doing. It's already, it's not going away. So we're gonna have to deal with it one way or the other. I did see one really cool thing on Instagram yesterday that I kind of found fascinating. Do you know? I wish I could name this new Montreal band. It's getting a lot of Instagram. It's two guys and they're in makeup with the dots all over them. Have you seen this yet?
I've not. No.
They're all over Instagram and Facebook right now. Can't remember what the name is, but they're weird. And the guitar is playing microtones. It's not like normal notes. The sound is very rhythmic and different and weird and cool looking. So they got a whole thing. You don't see their faces. So someone was saying that this is taking off because people are now need to create music that AI hasn't
Ooh,
copied and used as a basis. So they're almost saying in a good way, it's going to make us do things we have not done before.
yes.
Because it's like, all right, fine, you've been trained on this. Well, we're going to go do that. And yes, it will catch up to us there, but maybe it's a kick in the ass that, pop and rock and everything else needed to go into in the next level. I don't know. I'm hoping. So I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess.
Yeah, you're cautiously optimistic, but that was a very kind of inspiring, uplifting end to your fear is that it's going to push us to be more creative. Also, live music may be more, have a bigger premium on live
I
music.
wonder that's right. It's not how will it or won't it affect live? You're still going to want to see your favorite live bands.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. And then I will say this, I had a playlist once wrote me. They were like, we were going to add your song, but we noticed your artwork was done by AI. And then it took me, and I didn't get mad. I was like, it's kind of cool. I appreciate that, and it's going to make me think about using AI in any way in the future, and making
Mhm.
decisions. So there are people out there that are trying to resist, and maybe there's going to be categories that are, AI music, musicians half AI, and and non-AI music, and so it's going to be weird. This is a weird world. We're heading into a very interesting place.
Up until this point, I never felt like I was in the future. I was like, okay, well, this is just like the present with like cool technology. Now I feel like we're in the future.
We're
Like
here.
this is it. We're in the thing we always talked about. Thank you so much for that answer, Mark. And I feel the same on the music journalism side. A lot of the times, every article I could think of writing, I could prompt
Yep.
AI to do it, and it could write it way better than I could write it, and that makes freaks me out. So now my transition is I'm trying to put more of me in the article because it
Right.
can't reflect what I've seen and what I've done, but that's hard to do
Oh, AI could
well.
learn you after a while, and it could
And it
start
could
to do
learn me.
things.
Yes.
It's
Don't Google yourself. I should say don't chat GPT yourself. It's gonna freak you out because
no.
it'll find all your stuff. Um, on a more optimistic close, my final question, and I'd love to hear your answer about this. Kind of tell me for Mark when he started, maybe when he first met that music teacher and he prompted you to, he asked you for the song and then he showed you how to make the song that you really like. What advice would you give to a student now in that position, who's interested in making a career? Maybe they have this very wide lens of musical influences, but they don't know where to start. Kind of what tips would you give them?
I mean, you might not like my answer, or that young musician might not. I would say, well, make sure you can play live because that's going to be one area they can't do better than us. Not yet. Um, have a day job, a good one, because it's just a hard business to make money, and it's a harder business. Film, television, they're just going to be using AI. They're not, no one wants going to want to pay the artist. So, work with your hands, be able to do stuff with your hands. Um, yeah, I mean, I would say don't ever stop making music because it's the best gift you could have, and you should share it with the world. But doing so knowing that it's a difficult life, so make it easier for yourself by being good at other things where you could bring in some bread to help you create your music, which costs money.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Reckler of
Thanks,
Circus Mind.
everybody. Thanks, Stanley. That was really
Listen,
good. I really appreciate it.
listen to his music, download his music, watch you live. Is there any, actually, I want to leave one more for just for you. Is there anywhere, when's your next show? When should people kind of tune
Tonight, that's not going to help anybody.
in?
I'm playing the Great South Bay Music Festival in July on Long Island. It's got a great lineup. The day I'm playing, Bruce Hornsby is headlining with Warren Haynes and the band The Lamp and a bunch of other good bands. That's the Saturday. The whole weekend is good. The Sunday is great. My Morning Jacket's on that. And so that's great. And then in June, I'll be at Brooklyn Bowl opening for Galactic. If you haven't been to Brooklyn Bowl, you should. It's my favorite music spot in New York City.
Hell yeah. If I'm free, I'm there.
All right.
Mark Reckler, everyone. Thank you again.
Take care.